Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all at the first Affiliated Action Networking meeting hosted by the Decade Collaborative Center of Coastal Resilience. My name is Federica Orsi. I'm the Senior Communication Officer of DCC, and I will be guiding you through the initial part of the agenda. Before we proceed with the presentation, allow me to briefly outline the agenda of today's meeting that you have already received. We will start with the presentation of the DCC-CR and Decade frameworks. After that, we will have a short presentation of the affiliated action. At this point, I would like to invite those who wish to introduce their organization to speak. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to do the presentation. I have already received many confirmation via email about the presentation, but if you are interested to present, please write down in the chat or raise your hand to reserve your turn. We will provide the opportunity, of course, to share also your video, to share your slides on the presentation. We will proceed after that with a 10 minutes break, and we will finish with a Q&A session and exploration of all the collaborative frameworks held with Professor Nadia Pinardi. All the DCC would like to thank you very much for your participation. We wish you all a productive exchange of ideas. And let me introduce the DCC-CR Director, Professor Nadia Pinardi, internationally recognized for her work in the oceanographic sciences, who will present the overview of the DCC-CR mission and activities and the role of DCC within the UN Decade framework. So, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Professor Nadia Pinardi for the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Federica. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. Let's see, this is, I don't know if you showed already the agenda. This is what you described. You did. There is a poll coming, yeah.
Nadia, we cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Yeah, now we can hear you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Thanks to Federica that was introducing the work here. And let me, first of all, thank you all for being again. With many of you, we have more strict contact. With others, it is the first time. But we feel this is an action by the decade that we need to fulfill better in the future. We haven't done it completely in the past. We were not staff enough at the DCC. Now we are fully working, and we are really trying to network your work for the decade as much as possible for better results, better accounting also in the decade of the work that you are all carrying out. So the DCC, okay, here, the DCC is particularly dedicated to the challenge of the DCC Coastal Resilience is dedicated to the decade challenge of increased community resilience to ocean hazards and the outcome of a safe ocean. In the most general understanding of that word, we are part of an ecosystem. As you can see here, we depend on the DCU, and we and other DCCs are doing this coordination as we are doing. But we are a thematic DCC, and different from the DCOs that are instead changing the UNESCO structure to host new structures after the decade. Yeah, our main mission is to strengthen the connection between the new science and technology of the decade and the stakeholders, and the coastal stakeholders, which suffer from extreme fragmentation, as you know. And so it's particularly important that your work also is put into the context, and the work I'm sure you do in co-designing with the stakeholders is made evident, okay, to the DCU and then to the decade. So this is our mission. Mission is to help the DCU to network the many activities. Okay, so the strategic objectives, we divided them 2 years ago. We started in September 2022, but actually I would say January 2023. We had this strategy approved. We have the science information for all, stakeholder engagement, very important for us, the educational part, and the environmental justice issues. We have an advisory board which has recently been completed. And we are at this point 8 people working. My chief scientific officer recently joined us, and is Vili. Maybe I will ask her to say something at the end. She helps to keep the priorities from science into our management. And many people are part of the communication and management of the center. Okay, so for increased science information for all, our major contribution in the past year has been the coordination of the white paper writing together with Srinivas Kumar from India. This has involved a lot of discussion with a large group of experts. We were 24, and I hope you like our paper, and that we can discuss it in detail if needed with some of you. So in the second aim of I'm just showing you some of the relevant activities. A major relevant meeting was organized by the DCC-CR for the topic of enhancing stakeholder engagement at the Ocean Sciences. We sponsored a meeting between coastal cities and community resilience. And we have a statement coming out with some statistics on the public, which was mainly scientists, answers to questions related to this important topic of coastal cities. So in the enhancement of stakeholder engagement, which is the most active part, we are administering a community of practice. I hope you know about that and you register. It is part of the Decade Forum activities, and this is called the Coastal Ecosystem and Community Resilience. It is dedicated to the decade actions, so to all the participants to the decade actions. At the beginning, it wasn't clear, but now it is clear that this forum is dedicated to us, and it will offer some solutions that might be interesting for you. Then our activity is our activity is focusing on the webinars. We did 13 in total, but we are increasing the number next year. We have already the same number in 1 year done. And these are the last two. No, the last one, 27th September, the 22nd October, no, last two, which we did already. So for equitable education, I'm very happy to say that we finished our strategic planning and the implementation too with Ocean Teacher Global Academy of our first course, which is called Co-Growth, Sustainable Coastal Growth and Resilience. It will run from January 27 to April 11, 2025. It will be a hybrid course with practically 2.5 months, February, March, and the pieces of January and April remotely. And we're trying new formulas of teaching remotely with 1 week in presence at the end and 1 project achieved. The platform, Ocean Teacher Global Academy platform, is really wonderful. It allows lots of interactive communications, and it also, Ocean Teacher Global Academy also gives a training certificate. So the next transformation of DCC-CR, and this is a conclusion, I guess, is that we are enlarging our supporters as supporters in terms of financiers of activities for the DCC-CRs. They're called contribution, but this time are not contribution to the decade, but are contributions to the DCC-CR. And we are forming a new structure, which is the alliance, the DCC-CR Coastal Resilience Alliance Network. We require clearly a network of competent institutions, and this alliance distributes work to competent institutions that have a common understanding and aim, so that we can enlarge even more the scope and activities for coastal resilience within the decade. So CMCC and Deltares have agreed with us on a plan for activities that they will support, and they will come together with the DCC in this alliance network. Okay, so this is all for the time being. If I might, yes, maybe, Federica, if I can ask for questions, can we have 5 minutes questions if there are?
Sure. If someone has some question, please raise your hand or write down in the chat, and it will be a pleasure to share with all the audience.
Okay, I guess it was quite... Yeah.
Dennis, please. You are muted, sorry, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nadia and Federica. Maybe it's not a question, but clarification, because you mentioned that there is this alliance network, and then it will hopefully attract direct funding and resources. So the question is if all DCCs will be doing the same thing actually, or is it just unique to DCC-CR actually, the strategy to work on this?
Well, we are the first So we are the first because we discussed with the DCU because we had, the request by the people, Deltares and CMCC. They said how we can contribute, and we didn't want to have a sort of an enlargement in the management. We cannot do it as a DCC as we are now. But so we had to find a form with the DCU that was recognizing the contribution, but to a DCC, so it will be associated to the DCC, and that was accepted by the DCU, and so it was open during the last call. If you look in the last call, the contributions for the first time were for DCCs. And so, okay, so to conclude and then try to be clear, coastal resilience is one of the themes that we believe it might be some nice thematic future program of UNESCO IOC or some kind of infrastructure that UNESCO will decide after the decade. And how do we build a community around this that supports this? This is the first step. So if we find that there are DCCs that are very important, I think that this strategy could be completed and could be, re-examined. I mean, we are nothing, more than sharing the aims and the work. So CMCC will finance training courses, will finance personnel that will work for the management of the activities. And that can be enlarged. And maybe for the future, it might be, that's what we hope, it might even at the end be a new organization that will come out, that will take all these organizations that now in the alliance and make it something more coordinated, even more than it is. Yeah, we are the first one, so then it is clearly, and I have not been particularly active to ask for others because, but I shared this idea with our program committee, with everybody, and the DCU. But if we find that it works as a way, it might, generate other DCCs alliances, and certainly the entrance of other people. We would be lucky to have more, and take on board other things that we cannot do at the moment. Sorry, I forgot to leave Willy to discuss a little bit and give her insight.
Excuse me, Nadia, before going asking Willy to speak, I would like to outline that there are 2 questions in the chat. Maybe you and Willy too, of course, would be happy to answer these questions. The first one is from Aurelienne that asks, do you have a list of coastal partners within the Alliance? And the second one from Mary Beth that asks, Nadia, could you elaborate on what the unifying characteristics are for membership in the DCC? What is common among all of us here today that make us invited to be the part of the DCC?
Okay, Willy, do you want to start or?
Nadia, no, I will let you because, I should maybe introduce myself in a little while. So please finish with these questions first. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I try to answer the first one. Unifying characteristics are for the membership in this DCC. This is a very proper question. So we started to think about this alliance in terms of gaps that the DCC, gaps in activities that the DCC did not plan in advance, and that after 2 years of working was clear that instead they are priorities. Now, without going into the details, what we can send you is the document that we elaborated. It's, you know, a public document, so it's our plan for asking. So what things that we couldn't do at the moment because of our limited budget as DCC from University of Bologna and the regional government's funding. So we are financed, DCC-CR is financed by the local government, and for 5 years, we are with a renewal in plan. And so we had some strategic issues, but we couldn't fit all the needs that we were. And so this call, the call of the decade, was actually pointing out to the fact that the contributions would have been accepted if they would go into the gaps of the DCCs, of the different DCCs, right? If they had elaborated gaps, then they could receive contributions. Leaving, as I said, a formal recognition of the contribution to the participating person, to the participating institution. And so they will be endorsed as UN contribution to the DCC. So they will have a proper recognition of their funding and support. But they will share with us which aim and which understanding. Okay, so that is what is common among all of us. You were the ones that from the beginning were sort of connected to us by the DCU. So the DCU is trying to outsource the networking of all the activities to the different DCCs. So they recommended to have you. Some of you are also part of our program committee, as you will see soon, but not all of you, because limited amount of space in a program committee. And we have chosen some of you to be part of program committee, but others we haven't been in touch. And so we are now with this meeting, we start to have more strict contact, and we disseminate what we do to you. And we ask you, what would you like us to do to reinforce your work inside the decade? So this is the kind of outsourcing that is done through the DCC, and that we are starting to feel as a mission, partly the mission of the DCC. The DCC are structures that help the coordination and the networking of the decade. Okay, so I hope I've done, you know, you didn't miss it in my talk, it was not clear. So, apologies for not understanding. Will the Alliance distribute funding that were given as part of the last call for contributions? Okay, so the distribution is a bit of a word that we need to see. Okay, so what we do as DCC, we have decided to do this, and we have shared the idea with our alliance, with our allied partners. We finance the Global South participation to many meetings. This is a very active part of our work. And clearly meetings that are relevant for coastal resilience. For example, recently we had a whole alliance network in Canada, and we financed an ECOP to go. And there was a section on coastal resilience. He took advantage of that, and he met many people. So, as usual, we finance, for example, we financed participation to the Barcelona conference, and this is part of how we distribute money. In addition to that, we have organized the schools, and we will pay for teachers to contribute to the schools. So the teachers that we have involved are under a small honorarium, and and they by the DCC-CR. So this is the distribution. It is typically a distribution that is done with for international networking. We have a focus on environmental justice, as you have seen, and so we try to focus a lot on allowing the maximum participation to the decade activities by the Global South. So maybe I haven't, and so just to conclude, I forgot to say, when we discussed with Deltares and CMCC for their entrance in the alliance, they told us they would finance schools, and financing schools means giving people that will organize them, so management, and they will also support the participation, if needed, in presence of people, as well as teachers, like we do. This is for the time being what we do in supporting. Okay, I think we are done. So, Vili, maybe you can.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Nadia. Hello, everyone. Just a few words because I'm probably a new person in this group. So my background is in physical oceanography. I have particular interests in combining observations and numerical modeling for ocean prediction. Now, my professional vision has been to advance science in coastal oceanography, especially interactions between the coastal and open ocean from one side, and then the coastal and land from the other side. Now, the UN Ocean Decade has really inspired me to funnel my science to benefit society. It sounds of course, very reasonable and very expected to a lot of you, but many times, scientists, as scientists, did not think of combining, the hard science with social science, for instance, which I really believe is essential. So, and especially my focus is on the needs of coastal communities. So this brings me to my involvement with the DCC on coastal resilience, which I believe is going to be a game changer on international activities to address challenges and to co-design solutions. The involvement of the stakeholders is another essential part. So my role in the DCC is to make sure that ocean science is at the heart of such developments, bringing cutting-edge research and technologies to the fingerprints of coastal stakeholders and practitioners. There is a lot being done of coastal resilience, of course, everywhere, but science and the most recent and cutting-edge science has not always been in the heart of those, and I believe that's essential. So this requires, of course, new tools, open and free data and information for all, ocean literacy, and citizen engagement, including from underrepresented groups and under-resourced countries. But most of all, it requires a vast network of diverse actions, and this is what you all bring, And I will do my best to understand each of the decade actions you represent, and we will work together to co-develop ways to leverage from each other. So thank you.
Thank you, Willy. This is a very nice, much more synthetic than I have done. Let me ask you one thing, Federica. Federica, can you allow me to send the document through the chat? So I'll send the document which we used for the alliance.
Yeah.
With information. Yeah. And I hope the others can also receive it through the chat. So,
Was at the
yeah.
because there is no an option. And
Meantime, Amanda, you are. You have a question?
Well, just to let you know, for whatever reason today, Nadia, I can't see the chat at all. I don't know if it's our, normally I can. I don't know if our security has started to upgrade that Teams from outside of the federal government. We can't see. I don't know what's going on, but today I can't see the chat at all. So.
Okay. So we will send the document again. I mean, Amanda, clearly you are part of the program committee. So somewhere you received it, but we will be glad to send it.
I just know that my colleagues from NSF that are on with me, Carlos and Helica, they can't see the chat either. So.
Okay. So Federica, I have sent now, I hope, the document.
Yeah.
Now, apart from Amanda that she cannot see, the link says I do not have permission to open the document. So everybody cannot access the document. Could you try to unlock the document? Oh,
yeah, I've unlocked it. So maybe now you have the opportunity to receive and to download it. Please let me know
yes,
if
it works.
everything is
It works at my end, and also the chat works at my end.
Okay. So you also sent a link to the document, and let's see. I apologize that we didn't send it. But this is part of the communication that we need to start.
I will download the document and I will upload again, just because maybe some of you are using the web browser, and maybe there could be some issues with it. Also with the chat. Maybe you are not seeing the chat because you are using the browser, but don't worry, I will upload again the document, not the link, but and of course I can email the document after the meeting to all of you. So we will make sure that everyone will receive it.
Yeah, I think it is better to send it by email.
Yeah, okay, by email, yeah. Annalisa, our junior communication officer, will send it immediately to you. So you will receive in a minute by email. So Nadia, if you want to, we can
go to the next. Are you going to share the screen, or I am going to share?
Now we can have the affiliated action presentation.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce the affiliated actions that you have written. Yeah,
sure.
So I guess everybody can see here. This is 21. I think we have still some mismatch. We probably have 23. So you are all listed here. You see the ones that told us in green that they would give their presentation. We thank you very much, and we'll start soon. Then you have also in orange or yellow the affiliated decade actions that are part of our program committee that today are not here, like GEM and Mega Delta. We are very happy that Amanda is with us with NSF Coastline and People, and then we don't have today Ocean City Network, but Supreme. We are very happy that you are here, but it's been a very active participant to the program committee. We have also Dennis, very important program, Tsunami for us, and then Coast Predict, and so on. Okay, so I guess, this is not the full list, unfortunately. As I said, we might be more than 21, we might be 23. And again, this is the work of the network, of the networking that we were supposed to do for the decade. We could have started last year, we didn't, and we are now here to try to find good networking activities with you. Okay, so what would you like to do, Federica? You want to maybe
I will ask the first person who is going to introduce the affiliated action. We will start with NSA Coastline, Amanda. So Amanda and Carlos, of course. Welcome again. Thank you for your presentation. You can share your screen and we already see. So please, the stage is yours.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm Amanda Adams from the National Science Foundation in the United States, and I'm here with my colleagues Carlos Martinez and Angelica Zamora Duran. The Coastlines and People Program, or as we call it, COPE, is the acronym we use. And the acronym COPE we use because people on the coastlines are going to have to cope with the hazards and global environmental changes that are happening at the coast. And when we write out the acronym, we capitalize the P as a reminder that the people are just as important as the coastline. So it is pronounced cope, but because the P is capitalized, sometimes people say copy, but it's not, it's cope, because people have to cope with the changes and the hazards at the coastlines, but the P is capitalized to remind us that the people are just as important as the coastline. So Carlos, if you can go to the next slide for me. So this represents a $145 million investment in US dollars that the National Science Foundation has made into the Coastlines and People program. And this program, I have been leading the development of this program. We first started thinking about it back in 2017. And, so it's been a long time in development. We actually did the funding of the hubs. We did some initial funding of some seed projects back in 2019, and then we did the major bulk of the funding in 2021 and 2022. But really, in developing this program, and we really started to think about the changes that are happening at the coastlines and the hazards that we're really worried about in terms of coastal hazards. And we thought about the people that are most vulnerable to the changes and hazards at the coastlines. We also recognize that there's a lot of overlap to who's most vulnerable to also communities that have historically been excluded from STEM research. And so as we are thinking about that, we also thought that there was thus an opportunity to really broaden participation in who's engaged in STEM research. And so in developing this program, which is really at the intersection of natural processes and hazards and the built environment and people and communities, a theme that runs through it all is broadening participation. And in the United States, broadening participation includes racial and ethnic groups that have historically been excluded, but we also think more broadly in terms of rural communities and pretty much any demographic that you can think of that has been kind of left out of the research enterprise. We really want to think about bringing them in and them having a voice in developing the research questions and having being a part of the research enterprise. And so broadening participation is a big part of this, as well as stakeholder engagement and really centering community engaged research within this. Not only is the Coastlines and People program a part of the NSF's contribution to the UN Ocean Decade, but COPE is also one of NSF's contributions to Justice 40, which is a Biden administration priority on environmental justice. So this program is also very much committed to environmental justice. And in terms of, kind of the big investment we've made in 2021 and 2022, it really falls into two categories. We have two size awards. We have focused hubs, which are basically $5 million awards. So they're $1 million a year over 5 years. And then we have large scale hubs, which were $4 million a year over 5 years. So about $20 million awards. So total, we've made about $145 million investment. And I'm going to pass it over to Angelica to talk about more specifics about kind of what the goals and objectives of the program were for these specific hubs.
Thanks, Vanda. So this program aims to support foundational research into the origins and processes affecting coastal environmental variability and hazards in those populated coastal areas. It seeks to serve as a model for integrated Earth system processes while fostering a collaborative, hub-based environment that promotes groundbreaking interdisciplinary investigations. These investigations, as Amanda said, involve stakeholders and local communities, ensuring that broadening participation is central to all activities. The program emphasizes the importance of fundamental coastal science and engineering that bear societal relevance and provides a framework for collaboration among various institutions and stakeholders on scientific inquiries pertinent to coastal regions. Next slide. This map shows the list of hubs that are supported by the Coastlines and People program. I'm not sure if you all are seeing the stars, but I'm not seeing the star. Okay, there we go. As stated previously, the large-scale COPE hubs are the green stars. Those receive up to $20 million over 5 years, and those are managed via cooperative agreements. The focused COPE hubs are shown in the purple stars. Those receive up to $5 million over 5 years and are smaller either in geographic or scientific scope, and those are more standard grants. Even though there's only 12 awards, many more states are getting funding. So you see the states that are shaded in blue without a star means that those are funded through sub-awards from the lead institutions. One of the things that we tried to do was have a really wide diversity in the types of institutions that are supported. So as you can see, many minority serving institutions and even nonprofit and tribal governments are recipients of COPE funding. Under the established program to stimulate competitive states and territories, or the EPSCoR states and territories, NSF identifies certain jurisdictions that have historically received less funding from the federal government. And the fact that 10 of these EPSCoR states and territories have received funds is a testament to the success of the program towards broadening participation and reaching those vulnerable communities who have historically been left out of STEM research. So in summary, the COPE portfolio has significant diversity of principal investigators, institutions, and geographic regions, even beyond coastal areas and marine ecosystems, as the Great Lakes are also included in the scope of the program. The awards were made in 2021 and 2022, thus the hubs are in or approaching the halfway point in the award. So next, Carlos will relate some of the COPE work to the UN Ocean Decade.
Great, thanks so much, Angelica. So the Ocean Decade Champions, this is a collaboration with the Every Page Foundation, formerly the Khalida A. Doolan Foundation, where NSF announced 2 cohorts of women who are NSF Ocean Decade Champions. Over $1 million has been awarded to support 50 women as leaders in coastal science, and they are receiving professional development opportunities, but also undertaking activities related to the Ocean Decade to be leaders in this front. And last year at the UN Ocean Decade Conference in Barcelona, we hosted a satellite event with several of the champions who talked about their work in coastal science and some of the important work that they're doing in those related spaces as well. So I'll briefly go to the last slide here, which is kind of like a news highlight reel of some of the research that many of our hubs have been undertaking. One, for example, is with the Megalopolin, I can't fully pronounce the acronym at the moment, but they work with coastal urban populated cities, primarily in the Delaware River near Philadelphia and Camden, New Jersey, to look at coastline issues in that area. We have others focusing on rural communities, like in the Eastern Shore of Virginia, where some, are not just publishing papers, but also developing ways to communicate science through art. So this is from a student who produced this graphic to highlight the issues that they are facing with septic sewers and future climate change. The New York Times highlighted one of the hubs as well with a recent landslide that hit one of the communities that one of the hubs is focusing on and are developing a landslide detection network system. And another community in the Great Lakes region, because coastal freshwater Great Lakes are a part of U.S. coastlines, they are focusing on indigenous-led monitoring protections against a very important commodity for many indigenous communities in that area. And so if you're interested in more information, feel free to reach out to any of us. If any of you are attending, for example, the American Geophysical Union conference, which will be held in Washington, D.C. in December 9th through the 13th, we are hosting several sessions on coastlines and people with many researchers, scientists, and practitioners from our community are presenting their work. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, if you're attending either in person or virtually, we're happy to share that information to you and your networks as well. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you so much. Very interesting as usual. This is a program that goes really to the importance of getting science to address society relevant issues, which I think it will be transforming our science. And clearly it is getting the engineering and the science closer together, which is what we need for sure. So I think maybe, we are a bit late because I'm taking too much time. Federica, what is the next one?
Our program manager, Cecilia Bittoni, will present the Supreme program in behalf of Stephen Bograd, that apologized not for being able to attend the meeting. So I give the stage to Cecilia.
Hello. So as Federica said, I'm presenting the Supreme and the SmartNet program on behalf of Stephen Bogard, who unfortunately couldn't be here. So Supreme is a sustainable predictability and resilience of marine ecosystem. Is a program sponsored by NOAA. As you know, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in the US. And it is a program endorsed by the UN Ocean Decade. Supreme program seeks to implement a global infrastructure to support support robust climate and ocean forecast predictions and projections to guide marine ecosystem management and adaptation strategies. The aim of the program is to reduce risks and increase resilience of marine coastal resources and the people who depend on them. So the principal objective of Supremes are to expand knowledge networks to share information and support the climate and ocean forecast, prediction, and projections to guide marine ecosystem management and adaptation strategies in climate change, and to advance the modeling tools to increase the resilience of marine coastal resources. Supreme was motivated and by and leveraged the effort of another initiative by NOAA called CEFI, or Climate Ecosystems and Fisheries Initiative. Like CEFI, there are several elements in Supreme's framework to monitor and sustain a marine ecosystem. So the frameworks are the science and development in which understanding of climate impacts on marine ecosystem can advance. The operations and infrastructure in which networks to share capacity in modeling frameworks can be developed, and the extension and engagement in which tools and modeling frameworks to support the management of sustainable marine ecosystems can be applied. Over the year, Supreme has focused on developing a network of interested parties. These parties are national agencies, universities, NGOs, intergovernmental organizations, and other ocean decade actions. These logos represent many of the current partners and make up to what they call the Supreme Network. At the moment, there are about 80 members. Supreme envisions itself as a network of networks that will facilitate the exchange of information and share capacity on developing the end-to-end infrastructure to advance climate-ready fisheries. A gap they are still trying to fill is to include more stakeholders and end user. For example, regional fisheries management organizations. Supreme collaborates with several ocean decade programs that have shared objectives, specifically around the climate fisheries nexus. With this collaboration, they are trying to build a global network. One of these decade program is SmartNet, which I'm going to present it right after this one. But there are also other programs that you can see here. Each of these programs brings unique perspectives and expertise and their own network of partners with the broad objective of ensuring sustainable marine ecosystems and their resources within changing climate. There are a number of decade-endorsed projects under Supreme, including new projects led by the Norwegian partners. And Supreme anticipates many opportunities for collaboration within the Ocean Decade context. For the near term, a key follow-up for Supreme meeting that was held at the 5th International Symposiums on the effect of climate change on the world's ocean I think everybody knows the acronym ECCW05, would be to form task teams and hold a workshop on these two themes, which is regional or global inventory of capacity and gaps in models, code, data streams, and management framework, and the climate-ready fisheries, best practices for decision support tools. Okay, these are the meetings that were held already by Supreme. And this is how Stephen asked me to ask you to get information about. Yeah.
Is that true that they will be held? It's 2025.
They will be held. Yes, sorry about that.
Okay, good. Not just
yeah, sorry.
Maybe they're interested to participate. Okay.
Yes, exactly. They want to bring their workshop. They want to hold their workshop in either of these two meetings. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Okay. And here is their Q code, but anyway, you can have other ways of accessing their program. I'm just gonna swap to the other presentation, which is SmartNet.
I'm just going to ask a practical question. After your second presentation, can we take the break for everybody? Is okay? Take the 10-minute break. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So please go ahead.
Okay. SmartNet. SmartNet is, as Supreme, I may have forgotten to say, they're both Ocean Decade programs, and they are secondary affiliate program to our DCC. And Stephen Borgard and John Smith are both DCC-CR program committee members. SmartNet is sustainability of marine ecosystems through global knowledge networks. Is a program sponsored by ICES, which is the International Council for the Exploration of the Sea, and PICES, I would say that is the pronunciation, is a North Pacific Marine Science Organization. And as Supreme is a program of the UN Ocean Decade, endorsed by the UN Ocean Decade. The principal aim of SmartNet and the unique opportunity that the Ocean Decade provides for that is to expand their network globally beyond the scope of the domain they typically work in. Its principles objectives are create knowledge networks to facilitate research, knowledge generation, and capacity sharing in support of sustainable marine ecosystems in a changing climate, and leverage and build upon the joint ICES-PICES collaborations to expand their networks and increase the resilience of marine and coastal resources and the communities that they depend on them. SmartNet focuses on key scientific themes in which ICES and PICES has expertise and mutual interest, climate change, fisheries and ecosystem-based management, social and ecological and environmental dynamics of marine systems and coastal community. Currently, there are several joint expert groups focused on these themes. SmartNet as a Supreme collaborates with several Ocean Decade programs that have shared objectives, specifically around the climate fisheries nexus, that have shared objectives. Okay. With these collaborations, they're trying to build again a global network. In addition to Supreme, SmartNet has engaged with several other programs, each of which brings a unique perspective and expertise in their own networks of partners, with the broad objective of ensuring sustainable marine ecosystems and their resources within a changing climate. And SmartNet program hosts several ocean decade projects as well. They led a global survey project on the ocean we want for the international collaboration of ocean science. The theme of the Ocean Decade is the science, as we all know, the science we need for the ocean we want. But a prerequisite for doing so is to know what is the ocean we want. That will depend on who are we. And the focus of this survey is to answer this question. SmartNet is seeking to gather information from the generic public in different countries to determine what is exactly the ocean we want. The survey is designed to gather information from the general public about how they interact with the ocean, what resources or uses they get from the ocean, and what their perspective is on the key challenges and potential solutions. The initial surveys was conducted in some countries like Australia, Japan, France, and in the US. The goal is for SmartNet to focus on many more countries and ultimately provide guidance to the Ocean Decade on the public's view of the key ocean challenges and solutions. There will be a follow-up survey that will be conducted at the end of the Ocean Decade in 2030 to provide an assessment of the success of the decade. SmartNet led a recent publication on ICE's Journal of Marine Science, describing a range of capacity of ocean decade programs around the climate biodiversity fisheries nexus, and also identifying important gaps in the theme that should be priorities for the ocean decade actions. And this paper is a product of a workshop that was held in Norway in April 2023, led by SmartNet, Supreme, and other Ocean Decade partners. SmartNet also published a paper on oceanography, describing their program's effort to share knowledge and capacity to advance ECOP in small island developing states. A key SmartNet activity is to develop strategies for the sharing of knowledge and capacity, particularly in this region. This is a small island developing states. They have a number of task teams dedicated to different aspects of their work, and they encourage, this is why they were so willing to participate to our event, to encourage anyone to contact them if they're interested in working on any of these task teams. In case you are interested, this is the way to contact them, and we as a DCC, we can help you get in touch with them. Okay, this is all from my side. I stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. We can have the stop now, and we will resume the meeting, if you agree, in 10 minutes, so at 3:15. Enjoy your break. See you in 10 minutes.
Hi, Adam. We went on break for 10 minutes, so we'll be back soon.
Okay, let's start again, right, Federica?
Yeah, okay. Shall we start again with the presentation? The first one is the Cost Predict, presented by Red. Let's check if she already joined after the break. Oh, here she is. Hi, Red. Good afternoon.
Hi, Hi, thanks, Federica. Let me just share
Oh, take
my
your time.
slides from here. Okay, can you see this?
Sure, we can see.
Yep, okay. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marie Donovan, and I work with CMCC. CMCC funds my role leading the Coast Predict Secretariat. So I'm here to introduce the Coast Predict Ocean Decade Programme. The tagline for the programme is that we want to revolutionise global coastal ocean observing and forecasting for coastal resilience. And the board, some of the names on the board you'll be familiar with. So Nadia Pinardi is chair, Vili is one of the co-chairs, Joaquin Tintoret from SOSIP is not here, he's another of the co-chairs, and then we also have representation from the Global Ocean Observing System, or GOOS, which is part of IOC UNESCO, because Coast Predict is a programme that's attached to the Global Ocean Observing System. The aim is that we will expand the Global Ocean Observing System into the coast. And what we want to do is to demonstrate integrated observing and predicting systems that would provide decision makers and coastal communities with the information that they need to manage risk in the short term, and then also to plan mitigation and adaptation in the longer term context of future climate and ocean change. So it's looking at the different timescales. And looking at the different timescales and the scenarios, the future scenarios in the context of climate change. And so to do this, we have we launched what we call Global Coast. This is our framework for implementation. And one of the key parts of the Global Coast approach is that we want to create globally replicable solutions. So we want to demonstrate solutions, standards, and applications in certain regions and pilot sites, and then for those to be relocatable to other regions so that we can kind of catalyze the capacity building to enhance coastal resilience for natural and built environments and for cities that live on the coast. So last year we launched a survey, and we asked people to submit pilot sites to the Global Coast Network. We're now in the process of establishing an MOU to recognize this network. So we received 130 pilot sites from over 60 countries and over 220 partner institutions. And what's important to note is that each of the pilot sites acts as a collaborative hub within itself. So there are local partners that have identified the priorities for their pilot sites. They've also identified what the existing capacity is and what their needs are in terms of observing and predicting. And then also importantly, the local partner institutions have identified local stakeholders, and in some cases they have existing relationships. And that's a very important part of how we would implement at pilot sites to ensure that what we're doing would be relevant and of benefit to communities locally. The other thing I want to colors represent different regions of the global coastal ocean. So what we want to do is to leverage commonalities within regions and between regions so that we can apply these relocatable solutions developed in one area that may be transferable and adaptable for other regions. This is a high-level schematic of how we view the Global Coast Framework. So on the bottom left, you see the network. So that's the network of pilot sites with research institutes and local stakeholders. Also on the bottom, we have the Predict endorsed projects, and these would provide the and technologies that would be demonstrated at the sites. We think is a real game changer is the use of a global coast cloud, so a shared cloud that would consist of a data lake and a computing environment. And this is important in terms of providing equitable access to solutions, because it removes the need for local HPC capacity, which can be a limiting factor, particularly for countries where there's limited resources. The other thing with the cloud is that we envision that we can develop, co-develop services with the private sector, which is another key feature of the Global Coast approach, because we need the private sector involved to be able to develop services from the science, to kind of take the last step of bridging from the science to services and products that could be usable by local communities, decision makers, and stakeholders in general. And then this is my last slide, just to acknowledge the projects that we have under the program. So the methodologies and the technologies will come from, but at the moment we have 20 endorsed projects attached to Coast Predict, and these have or are the methodologies that we could apply at pilot sites. So they cover topics including coastal hazard, integrated coastal hazard warning systems, the climate downscaling component, which is particularly important for the future scenarios, integration of satellite data, cost-effective observations, and citizen science, AI, and coastal restoration. That's just some of the themes that are covered. So these projects would provide the methodologies and technologies that we can then demonstrate at the pilot sites, and then the final step will be the generalization. So taking those, taking the solutions, the standards and applications from pilot sites and applying them elsewhere. And finally, there's a QR code to access the website. And on the website, you can find an interactive map of the Global Coast pilot sites. So you can get a global view of that network. And there's a summary for each of the pilot sites, and also information about the projects, the endorsed projects that are attached to the program that are providing the methodologies. So that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Mairead. Shall we go ahead with the next presentation from Global Ocean by Adam? I thought he was present. Maybe we can just go ahead with the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program, a presentation by Dennis.
Hello? Oh, here she is. She is here.
Oh, here she is. Yeah.
I don't know why I heard the voice that looked feminine than Dennis. Yeah, here she is. Adam.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Welcome, Adam.
Okay.
Welcome. Sorry, we can't hear you. But please, the stage is yours.
Okay. All right. So please permit me to share my screen.
Yeah, you go. There is an arrow pointing upward. You click on that. It's called the share. You should be is on the upper right corner.
Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Okay.
That's perfect. We can see.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So good afternoon, and thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm going to present on the Global Ocean Course and Conveyor, which is one of the programs that was endorsed by the Decade. I'm here to represent the team, which is led by Professor Brian Arbeck. So what is the goal of the Global Ocean Core? The overarching goal of the Global Ocean Core and Conveyor is to build a network of summer schools and other capacity sharing activities throughout the world. as we all know, capacity sharing requires that people first meet each other. And we believe that summer schools actually provide a venue for that. And we have a very good prototype example, which is the Coastal Ocean Environment Summer School in Ghana and Nigeria, which has been running for 1 week every year since 2015. COSIN and the Global Ocean Corps are both endorsed by the UN Ocean Decade. So one is an action, which is COSIN, and the other one, the bigger one, the Global Ocean Corps, is a program. So briefly, I'm going to talk about the summer school because that is like what is running currently under the Global Ocean Corps. And it's an in-person summer school that we have been running in Ghana since 2015 to 2019. But during the outbreak of the COVID, we incorporated an online version to make it hybrid. And so in 2020 and 2021, it was mainly online. And then we had in-person schools now alternating between Ghana and Nigeria starting in 2022. And when we started initially, it was general, so basically providing knowledge about the ocean to young scientists. But then going forward, we thought that we need to make it a bit more focused or specific. So we started on this hands-on research project track of the summer school. So these are pictures from 2022. This is the summer school in Nigeria. And we all know that we started from Ghana, but we know that in Africa, Nigeria is one of the populous countries. And so it is important that we take into account or take advantage of that population and expand the summer school to to Nigeria as well. And the model that we have used is we bring instructors from all over the world, but mostly they are coming from the United States and Europe, and also from the continents, from Africa itself, mainly from Ghana and Nigeria. And these are the instructors who are training and they're building the capacity of the students. These are a few pictures for the summer school that was held in Ghana. And here the emphasis on hands-on research focused on 4 thematic areas: fisheries management, marine plastics, biogeochemistry, and also physical oceanography. These were based on some of the issues that are more pressing to our region. Then in 2024, so we alternate it every year. So in 2024, we had it in Nigeria again. In terms of our future, so we're planning to have summer schools from 2025 through to 2028. And for this one, we currently, when I started, I talked about the, capacity building, starting with people meeting at venues and networking. And summer schools are one of those great examples. And as part of the summer school, we managed to win a $9 million project, which is funded by Smith Sciences. And this is all based on the network that we built and developed during the summer school. And part of this grant is now going to be used to support the summer school running from 2025 to 2028. And the focus is going to be on the biogeochemistry. So this project, this $9 million project, the focus is going to be on biogeochemistry of the Gulf of Guinea. And we have scientists from both the global north and Africa coming together to execute this project. And I'm co-leading the project from Ghana. And like I said, the summer school played a big role in bringing me into this bigger project. We also have another project that we have submitted also through the networking or the platform that the summer school has provided, which is also going to be in the Gulf of Guinea. And we are also planning to move the summer school or to expand it to East Africa. And with more funding, we are hoping to expand our activities to cover other countries in the region, but also be able to bring more scientists from the region to participate in the school, irrespective of the location where it is held. So that is just something brief about the Ocean Core and some of the activities, which is the case study here for us is the COSIN, which has been running since 2015. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. This is impressive. And first of all, congratulations for the award. And this is what it takes, to build such kind of support. You have networked and done very well. So on the other hand, as we will see later, we could also discuss with you later on how to maybe use also the OTCA platform for the video or recorded parts. Maybe you could, we could explore together this part.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Nadia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evan. We can proceed with the next presentation, Ocean Decade Tsunami Program by Benny.
Thank you. Okay, you can see my presentation, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a presentation I prepared yesterday quickly. Just to mention, when I'm listening to the discussion, actually the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program has no new staff. So what we are doing is more or less as part of our job. I'm actually like a focal point between DCU and Ocean Decade Tsunami Program, trying to support this. But I think there's a bit of lesson learned from attending this meeting and to suggest ways forward. So one thing I want to mention is, of course, why the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program, because the Tsunami Program has been in existence for 20 years. Just to highlight, after 2004 tsunami, almost $500 million was spent to establish tsunami early warning system in the Indian Ocean, and at least between 50 to 100 million to maintain the system in Indian Ocean. And you can imagine the cost also to establish similar systems in the Caribbean and also in the Mediterranean and Northeast Atlantic region. So again, it's important for us to come up with innovative ideas about the tsunami program. So this is why we submitted this program on Ocean Decade Tsunami Program. So in my presentation, I will outline the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program, the meetings we have organized, and some activities and global engagements, and also a tracking tool that could help us. So I won't go in all the detail here, but in June 2021, the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program was endorsed by IOC, and also it was submitted to Ocean Decade. One thing is it's about transformation of the global tsunami early warning system, which has been in existence for many years. So this transformation is basically on two levels. One is to have more accurate, faster early warning to reach the public. And of course, the second part is really to build coastal resilience of people along the coast. So this is why there is a need for transformation, because the idea is the warning has to arrive within 10 minutes, not more than 10 minutes. So this means a lot of technology and science need to be designed and put into place, especially ocean observation systems. So in terms of the program, there has been also work in terms of coming up with a 10-year research, development, and implementation plan for the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program. And a document was published, and this was endorsed by IOC in June 2023. So since then, there has been 4 Ocean Decade Tsunami Program Scientific Committee meetings, and the next one will be in January, 16 to 17 January 2025. And just to mention, because we mentioned about Srinivas involved in this vision for the white paper, and Srinivas is actually the chair of the scientific committee of the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program. So this is the agenda that we discuss, the discussions of the last Ocean Decade Tsunami Program. I will not go through it, but we are actually discussing a lot about the Ocean Decade and how we get involved, how we engage, because it's super complex. And as mentioned, we don't have new staff. So we need to prioritize and see where we can focus. We discuss about all these issues. And also one important issue is we discuss about the actions that are submitted and how we actually coordinate. So this is the proposed action, the agenda for the next Ocean Decade Tsunami Program. And as you can see, one other thing is, again, we want to really understand how we engage with the DCC structures, and in this case, even the DCC for coastal resilience, because it's very complex. As soon as we open the door, it becomes very complicated, and it's hard for us to really catch up on everything. So we need to really look at all these things and discuss how we can best engage in an optimal way. One thing I would like to highlight is, I will get back to it actually, is that even if we have the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program, this implementation plan, it was done in a very fast way. So our plan now is to really come up with an action plan that is more smart, and we will be able to actually track and monitor the actions from the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program. So just to highlight a bit of what we are doing in terms of activities, this is not yet, the Tsunami and Survivor project is not part of the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program, but we are hoping to submit this next. So you can imagine the focus in terms of survivors and witness of tsunami, the memory. This is important for building coastal resilience. So there were big events here in UNESCO, June 2024, actually at the Assembly. And this was well received by member states that we serve. They were really happy about this. So there is also this kind of art, science, exhibition going around. I think there will be an exhibition in Geneva on the 5th November to celebrate World Tsunami Awareness Day. So this is a moving exhibition, and we can do this exhibition in any country that we can collaborate with. So this is a bit of detail in terms of the Eyewitness Survivors Project. Another big event that we organized during the IOC Executive Council in June actually was because we were looking at all the actions that were submitted and endorsed by the DCU. So we selected a few of these actions and we turned it into some kind of side event, and we had discussion. And actually, Nadia was invited to speak about coastal resilience. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend, but Giovanni Copani came and we discussed about this. I think this was a very good chance for us to learn about the actions that we share in terms of coastal resilience, but more or less in terms of Ocean Decade Tsunami Program, because there are some important connections. One of the highlight or recommendation was maybe we can organize some kind of forum or symposium in the future. And I think at the next steering committee, we will discuss about this. And just to mention, we also had meetings, high-level meetings as part of the Ocean Decade in Cairo, because this was Africa kind of ocean decade thing. And then also we had a side event on coastal cities and communities joining Tsunami Ready in Barcelona in April. So we try to bring everyone from Pacific, Caribbean, Indian Ocean, and also in the Mediterranean and Northeast Atlantic region around Tsunami Ready. I would like to highlight this actually because it's a big part of the Ocean Decade Tsunami program, because as mentioned, we want to be faster in terms of warning, more accurate, less uncertainty by science and technology. But then the next part is actually to build coastal resilience, human resilience. So the Tsunami Ready is an important tool for us. And this started a few years ago in Caribbean, Pacific, Indian Ocean, and so on. So just to highlight that now this program is scaling up. We have reached almost 60 Tsunami Ready communities recognized, and many more are actually in the process to be recognized. So this is important because it's not just about people involved in building resilience, doing drills and exercise and so on, but there are 12 indicators that we follow, and this involves the science like producing hazards and risk maps, and also the evacuation maps, which is quite interesting. And some of these things involve some complex science like tsunami probabilistic approach. And I think this is the next generation of methods that we want to integrate within our methods. So I just want to highlight that we actually receive at least 7 new proposed Ocean Decade Tsunami Program projects and 1 contribution. Because I did some analysis before, we had 12 related actions, including, I counted also the DCC for coastal resilience, because we are affiliated with that and report to. So this means we are like a network of around 20 actions on actions related with tsunami. So I just did some kind of analysis to look at investment across different projects that has been submitted as part of call 7. So this is like 17.6 million. I did not actually calculate the previous actions that have been submitted, but as I progress, I get ideas and try to come up with some analysis for us to bring to our scientific committee and have discussions. So this helps us to know what is the investment and how we can focus our efforts in the future. One thing also is because tsunami early warning and mitigation system is following this 4 structured model of hazard risk assessment, observation, forecasting, and response. So basically, we look at the actions that have been submitted across different themes or structures of early warning, and we try to identify where there are weaknesses in terms of submissions, so we can advise the decade unit where to focus the actions. For example, there's a lot of actions on hazard and risk knowledge, and only 9% on warning and dissemination. So we'll try to encourage them to focus on this actually. And also we look at actions across the basins. For example, in the last action, it was focused in Mediterranean and Indian Ocean. So now we are saying, okay, for example, the next action should focus on Caribbean and Pacific. And as mentioned, we are working on the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program tracking and monitoring tool, because even if we have this report that we came up with, and there is a section looking at the implementation plan, there are over 125 solutions and what we call actions, but they are not very easy to follow, very complex. So we are trying to move forward to come up with a new tracking and monitoring tool. So this will help us to report back better next time. And this is just the final slide to say that we are now, because World Tsunami Awareness Day is a routine activity, but it's part of the Ocean Decade Tsunami Program. Then we will be having a symposium very soon in Indonesia to celebrate, well, not celebrate, but to reflect 20 years of tsunami since 2004. A lot of work going on there. And also there will be a high-level meeting at headquarters here in Paris. And also we are trying to discuss and engage with the upcoming global meetings related to Ocean Decade and also disaster risk reduction and early warning for all. I think this is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dennis. We can go ahead with the next presentation from Commissione Oceanografica Italiana. Alessandro, it's your turn.
Thank you. Thank you. I will just share my screen. Okay, please, if you don't see, give me a call.
We're fine.
Okay, great. Good morning, everybody, or good evening or good night. My name is Alessandro Gibertini, and today I represent the Italian National Decade Committee that I coordinate with the colleagues Rosalia Santoleri, Tiziana Ciuffardi, and Roberta Ivaldi, that it is connected here, and also the Italian node of the ECOP program. The Italian National Decade Committee is an open, inclusive, and collaborative ocean community that was created in 2021 by the Italian Oceanographic Commission, with the main mission to spread the UN Ocean Decade in Italy. So in just one community, we gathered all the diverse kinds of stakeholders, so science, policymakers, private sector, and the society. The other main pillar is supporting the new ocean generation, so the ECOP program, but we also support and facilitates the UN Ocean Decade endorsement for the virtuous national initiatives. To date, were endorsed 2 contributions, so also the Coastal Resilience Program, 6 programs, 11 action, and 17 activities. And from this perspective, we can play a key role to connect and bridge, filling the gap between the existing and the future Italian initiatives supporting so the DCC Coastal Resilience. We also collaborate at the international level. At the moment, there are 39 committees all over the world. Just a quick focus on the Italian Oceanographic Commission. It is a national coordination body that leads the interaction with IOC UNESCO and represents a national scientific discussion and coordination forum. Going back to the international collaboration, one of the milestones was the creation of this best practice manual for the national decade committees with 2 main goals. One, to concentrate and showcase all the diverse best practices coming from the different committees all over the world. And on the other hand, to provide inspiration and guidelines to the other countries that aim to activate their own NDC. Our contribution as Italy was important at many levels. For example, we provided some pictures, but also key messages and case studies. In this slide are just a few examples of the messages we spread. For example, sustainable food, so a dish created by a chef with no fish inside, or through a book in English that gather all the Italian scientific papers released on tuna species. We stress the fact that it is important to overcome the language barriers to make ocean science more accessible, or the importance to innovate ocean literacy projects, also partnering with the private sectors, with the project Scrittori di Classe. Out of the manual, we would like also to highlight the best practices of this World Ocean Day of this year that was organized by the European Multidisciplinary Seafloor and Water Column Observatory in Palermo that engaged the new generation in the exploration of the deep sea. So keeping the momentum on this new ocean generation, we can talk about the COP program that has the goal to involve, the mission is to involve the new generations in the UN Ocean Decade. Many nodes or regional nodes were created to foster the impact at the local level. The Italian node was created just last year. And for us, our main goal is to create a big Italian group where ECOPS can use it as a networking forum. So help each other, share experiences, circulate information, and so on. Also to inspire the younger generations. There are many actions in progress. We are giving us a structure, creating task teams focused on specific topics. We are spreading, we are going to spread and growing ECOP with the Italian National Decade Committee and CONISMA, that it is the network of the Italian Marine University, counting on 36 universities. We will start to communicate on social media. We want to map and sharing trainings and job opportunities, and also organize trainings and workshops as UN Ocean Decade activities. So from this perspective, the collaboration with the DCC-CR will be crucial for sure. To close, both the National Decade Committee and ECOP contributed to the Ocean Decade Conference in Barcelona, where the United Nations stressed once again the fact that it is important to involve the new generation in the UN Ocean Decade. We contributed to global events devoted to the committees, to the poster session showing the work of the committee, as well as all the Italian endorsed initiatives, and also satellite events. For example, the Ocean Decade Movie Day, where I presented the movie Broken Breath as ECOP. So looking to the future, we looking forward to collaborate with the other committees, looking at the upcoming UN Ocean Conference in Nice, as well as the DCC Coastal Resilience. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. Very interesting. We have 3 more presentations. We can go ahead with the Fish Core project by Claire.
Thank you. And are you showing the slides I sent, or should I put them up?
If you want, you can share by yourself, if it's better for you. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. We can see them.
Great. Thank you. I'm Claire Innerline. I represent the Fish Core endorsed program, which stands for Fisheries Strategies for Changing Oceans and Resilient Ecosystems by 2030. We have a goal to sustain fisheries as a source of food and jobs while protecting ocean ecosystems in the face of a changing climate. And our structure, the way that we do this, is through a few main actions. We have an international network for the exchange of information, and I'll go into some of the detailed activities that support that information exchange later, to build close local and regional collaborators, and to work with on-the-ground projects that are happening, and then to facilitate collaborations amongst those projects with each other, and then to connect those benefits, those best management practices, and the learnings and the tools developed at local and regional scales up to global scale initiatives and best management practices and policy and management recommendations. We have a website. The QR code is right there. And we have an implementation plan that is posted on that website that you can read for more information. The program is put forward by the institution that I work for, the Gulf of Maine Research Institute, as well as the Environmental Defense Fund as the leads. And then we have a strategic advisory board with a representative from each continent, and that board will rotate over time to ensure that we have a global perspective as we move forward. So our approach is multidisciplinary, multidimensional, voluntary, and collaborative, with the basic understanding that fisheries operate at the intersection of ocean societies and that future fisheries will be shaped by climate change. So that fisheries systems, and however we're looking at them, have an ecological component, a governance or management component, and a socioeconomic component. And working with local and regional projects with all of those things in mind. We're based on the core principles of inclusivity and diversity, equity, co-leadership, knowledge, co-ownership, and reciprocal benefits. We have a wide range of collaborators, including scientists and knowledge holders, fishery participants, fisheries managers, and policy experts. We, through the work that we're doing with local projects and then also as a program, are developing direct outputs such as information and tools to assist in climate resilience assessments and strategy development, context appropriate climate resilient strategies, and also approaches, as well as synthetic outputs, putting together a questionnaire that will be going out soon. I'll talk about that on the next slide, to understand what the different climate impacts that people are facing, and to synthesize that information together for high-level science and policy recommendations. There's a lot of different ways that we're trying to achieve these goals, including a network that we have that gets periodic updates about different opportunities. And we'll be putting out our first newsletter next month to showcase some of the projects, both that are affiliated through the Ocean Decade and also not. So one thing that we hold as central is that we want people to be able to participate that are not endorsed by the Ocean Decade, and to highlight their work as well. We have a monthly seminar series that was mentioned in Supreme and SmartNet's slides as well, that we jointly host with those two programs, as well as Blue Food Futures, FishMIP, and Becky. And those monthly webinars have a rotating theme through ocean modeling, social connections, impacts on fisheries systems, impacts on communities, small-scale fisheries, and things that are important to all of our programs. And tomorrow's will be on aquaculture. We have currently, I think it's 9 endorsed projects right now, and we are participating in the currently open call for new actions. And we also have projects that we work with that are not endorsed by the Ocean Decade, that are using some of the tools and frameworks that have been developed as part of the program. We hope to have in-person workshops annually. We are not a funded program. We don't have any funding. So the work that we do, we try to associate with conferences and workshops that are ongoing, and add a day where we can host a full day or 2-day workshop focused on these topics. We had one last year at the World Fisheries Congress in Seattle, Washington, where we highlighted local work and regional work of the participants there, as well as provided training in climate resilience assessment frameworks and tools. We'll be putting out a questionnaire to our network, which is over 600 people right now, representing over 80 countries and 400 organizations. And through that questionnaire, we hope to identify key issues and gaps facing fisheries as a result of climate change, and to put that together into both a paper as well as information that can be provided back out to the network as ways to engage with others in these topics. FishCorps developed from a SNAP, Science for Nature and People Partnership, Climate Resilient Fisheries Working Group. That working group developed the Climate Resilient Fisheries Planning Tool that's available online at climateresilientfisheries.net. That tool is being used by both some of our projects, as well as it has been used by others that we're still learning about their use of it. And as we're getting feedback about the use of the tool, we are revising the tool based on its initial implementation, developing implementation and facilitators guides to go along with the tool. As part of both the information we get from the questionnaire, as well as some workshops that we will be hosting next spring, we will be gathering folks to talk about resilient strategies across the projects and case studies and synthesizing that into best management practices, as well as a manuscript and public information that'll be put out. This fall, we'll be starting topic-based working groups. We'll be starting 2 this fall, one focused on the impact of co-management on climate resilient fisheries, as well as one on the operationalization of climate vulnerability assessments and climate resilient strategies into policy and management. We hope to be standing up more over the coming years as well. And those will be virtual collaborations that will be product-based. And that is all I have.
Thank you. This is very interesting.
Thank
It looks like you have we have in the group a very conspicuous group on fisheries, which is one of the very important activities in the coastal area, one of the human activity that were of the people living in the coastal area. And, you know, maybe we can construct something which has more of that coastal resilience issue considered in the fishery, you know, with your focus of fisheries. What is the sustainable fishery for a certain community? I'm sure you have probably already experts on this, but you know, the debate which has been, in my opinion, a bit left aside between mariculture and fisheries for the coastal area. It's really an important one. So we might find a topic of this kind because you are many in the group of people and doing very important work for the coastal area. So yeah, maybe we'll get back in touch with the 3 projects here. That you are Supreme, SmartNet, and FishScore. I think these are the 3, right, Federica?
Yes.
As well as I think before, I mean, do we have one more presentation?
We have 2 more, Coast by Mary and Ocean Cities by Maria Elena.
Okay, so we are going over time.
Unfortunately,
right?
yeah. I apologize for that.
Okay, so if people can stay still and we ask, I know it's very bad to ask at the end, but if we can stay the next 2 in the 5 minutes, and then we can probably conclude with some wishes for the future. Yeah. Thank you.
Are you able to see my screen?
Not at the moment. We were able to see a couple of seconds ago. But...
Okay. Now?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, okay.
Mary Beth, it was up there for a moment, yeah.
Yeah, I was there for a moment.
Yeah.
Let me try again.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now?
Not yet.
Not yet, sorry.
Still not yet.
Okay. You want to send me the slides?
No.
Or send them to...
They already have them.
Let
me try again.
Let me see.
Okay.
Yes, we see it. We see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There. Is it in full screen?
Not
Yeah,
yet.
that's perfect.
Oh, it's perfect. Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep going. Holler if there's a problem. I'm presenting on behalf of the leadership team of CIOS Coast, which includes Drs. Rashmi Sharma from the Indian Space Research Organization, Aurelian Carbonnier from CNES, and Paul DiGiacomo from NOAA. Both Paul and Aurelian are here today and are invited to contribute comments at the conclusion of this talk. We welcome being part of the DCC-CR. We also hope that you will help us to promote the importance of satellite data observations within the UN Ocean Decade. Satellite data is an important part of the global ocean observing system. In the upper left, you can see the CIOS logo. The Committee on Earth Observation Satellites is an intergovernmental consortium of space agencies made up of 64 members and affiliates. The CIOS coordinates hardware and software development for the advancement of space-based Earth observations community effort. In this case, space-based Earth observations are satellite observations. CIOS agencies communicate, collaborate, and exchange information on satellite activities, spurring useful partnerships. We are best effort. And again, in the upper right-hand corner, you do see ISRO, CNES, and NOAA's logos. I've advanced to my next slide, so hopefully you all are able to see that. COAST
No, Mary Beth, it's still on the cover. You might have to go to the book in the bottom right, the thing that looks like a book. Click on that and it'll go to slideshow for it. That one. There you go.
That's perfect.
Okay, so now you're seeing the second slide, hopefully.
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Sorry. Teams is my enemy. COAST stands for Coastal Observations, Applications, Services, and Tools. We are the cross-cutting team within CIOS dedicated to focusing global satellite agency resources and attention to the coastal regions where a majority of the global population live and where disaster risk reduction attention is critical to save lives and property, but also the dynamism of where the land meets the sea and vice versa for quantifying ecosystem services, climate change impacts, and biodiversity habitat mapping. Lots of activities that we've talked about today are focused in these areas. There's a short list on the screen of some of those threats. We do center co-design of our products and new product development with stakeholders. In our pilot regions, we are an endorsed UN Ocean Decade contribution, and we were recognized on June 8th in 2021. This is my final slide, but I will expound here for just a minute. COAST was begun in 2020. We are pursuing 6 development themes. They are shown, 5 of them are shown along the bottom of the image: satellite-derived bathymetry and seashore and shoreline mapping, flooding and inundation, physical oceanography, sediment transport and turbidity, and coastal eutrophication. Those are the themes around which we are developing products. We have also recently added coastal blue carbon to that. We do co-design the products regionally with our stakeholders, as I mentioned. We do have identified stakeholders in our 5 pilot regions that we began with. We now have added a 6th. Those regions are the Bay of Bengal, Chesapeake Bay, the La Plata Estuary, the entire west coast of Africa. We also have small island nations in the Caribbean and the Pacific. We have recently expanded our locations to include testing of coastal products that we've already developed in polar and Arctic regions. The Alaska and the Bering Sea are areas of focus, but we haven't selected our Arctic region yet. Our sites are part of the Coast Predict Global Coast Network that you've seen earlier today. One area of new product development is biogeochemistry products and also products improving the satellite delivery of products for variables in the coastal region, such as temperature, turbidity, chlorophyll, and CDOM. Specifically, that's within 1 kilometer of coasts and within estuaries. Our work is very technical, but it's all driven by user needs. We do want to let everybody know that we are seeking to hold a training for practitioners in the use of coast products, perhaps in collaboration with Coast Predict, during the One Ocean Congress meeting in June 2024. We do hope that you will join us. If you have any questions, or if Aurelian and Paul would like to contribute more, they can do so now. You can reach out to any of the three of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth. That's very nice. Yeah, very important. We hope that this networking will help, really to consider satellite for many of the projects that or programs that we have seen today. So, yeah, and one of our proposal at the end, if we will ever be able to get 1 minute at the end, is that from this network, we have already started, thanks to CEOS, to plan for a joint meeting at the One Ocean Congress in June, following UNOC 3, but we have the possibility to do more. So if you think that could be worth trying, the deadline is 13th of December. We'll definitely do the one with CEOS. It will be CEOS, Coast Predict, and DCC-CR, but we can also add more if you think you're ready to get into that kind of scene. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is Federica.
Which is Ocean Cities by Maria Elena. Since there are 2 more people who have to talk, I propose to add their presentation to the email we are sending after that, just only to have the opportunity, Nadia, to close the meeting and say a few words. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
good.
I think that we need to conclude after Maria Elena. I don't think we can go much more than half an hour in addition, so.
Hi everyone, I don't know if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
I can tell you that from next time we will use Zoom. This was a bit of an issue for us. Technically, now we have solved. We will use Zoom from next time onward, right, Federica?
Yeah, we managed to obtain from University of Bologna the Zoom account, so no more Teams. We apologize for that, but since now we didn't have the opportunity to use Zoom, but now we can. So next time we will meet on Zoom.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened because I had my presentation here, but
Does Federica have the slides?
Yeah.
You have the slide, Federica. Why don't you show them and then Maria Elena can talk.
Thank you. Yeah.
Otherwise, I also have, oh, great.
Yeah. Super.
Excellent.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Maria Elena Carvajal from the Institute of Marine Science and part of the coordination team for the Ocean Cities Network. Today I'm going to share the latest update on our program. So the next one, please.
Federica, next one, please. Thank you.
Can you do
Okay.
the presentation mode, Federica? If not, it's okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
but we have the PDF, so
So it's okay. No problem.
Okay, I'm going on. Ocean Cities, as you know, is an international network of coastal cities that promotes collaboration across coastal communities. The program aims to expand the ocean dimension within these communities, inspiring bottom-up initiatives and fostering a new relationship between citizens and the ocean. The next one. We work on 7 of the 10 challenge of the UN Ocean Decade through 3 main axes: health under a global health approach, culture within the framework of ocean literacy, and traditional ecological knowledge and territorial linkage, and justice by promoting projects for transformative and also inclusive ocean science. The next one. From grassroots efforts to high-level initiatives, Ocean Cities starts with local nodes, working with the neighborhoods and community-based organizations, expands into regional networks across different oceans bases, networks across different around the world, and culminates in global science policy assemblies of cities. The next one. We have several. Now we have 34 members, and this year we added 3 more, one in Mexico, another one from Chile, and the last one from Australia. The next one. So this year we participate in the Sea and the Cities Conference in Ancona, as well as the Restoration of Marine Ecosystem Workshop in Genoa. We also attend the UN Ocean Decade Conference in Barcelona last April, and where there we co-coordinate the informal working group Cities with the Ocean, presented by UNESCO as part of the UN Ocean Decade. And we are participating in the Shenzhen Global Marine Economy Forum, which is taking place this week. And furthermore, actually, we are currently organizing the 3rd edition of Ocean Cities Month this October, which includes activity in Argentina, Mexico, Portugal, Australia, Chile, and also Spain. And the next one, what are our next steps? We will participate in the first Ocean Decade International Coastal Cities Conference in Changzhou in China next February, and as well as the 2025 UN Ocean Conference in Nice next May. And of course, we will also prepare for the 4th edition of Ocean Cities Month in October 2025. So if anyone is interested in participating, please let me know. So the next one, that was a brief summary of our main activity. Thank you very much. If you would like to know more about the program, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you.
Maria Elena, thank you very much for being so brief. This is a very important initiative of the UN Decade. There are at least 4 or 5 initiatives that connected to OceanNet, and OceanNet is one of the first programs that started it, but then there is Cities with the Ocean, there is a new activity. So there is a lot of activity around the cities with the ocean due to their importance. We are looking forward to this. This is a very important activity. Stakeholders in the coast are urban stakeholders. There is no, we have to think how to best use our network for this. So is there some, thank you. And again, sorry for being, is there somebody else, Federica? I think we should try to conclude, right?
Yeah, now we have Auburn by Fiona, who have to give the presentation, but I propose.
Yeah, she said in the chat that we can probably get in touch with her. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Sure.
let's conclude a second. This is getting really. Oh, somebody has a question. What, Federica? No. Okay, so let's try to conclude with this. So after this first meeting, we know each other better, I guess. And this was the major aim. The second aim is that we would like to ask you to use our community of practice that allows you to have further dissemination of your activities. And we can, as part of this community of practice, sponsor new activities, meaning that we can organize them with your support for the experts, webinars reserved for affiliate actions. They will be part of the community of practice activities. We can actually organize thematic discussion rooms, for example, for this question of fisheries and coastal resilience might be a good way to do it. We can actually think, since we know each other, to have in-person meetings at events reserved for the network affiliates. We can help you to organize this. So the important thing is that we get your subscription also to the COP, because you will receive, many information through that. So one other thing is we have the newsletter, and if you are in the COP, you will receive that. If you want more, I guess you have this presentation with you. If you want to know more, please contact Annalisa. We will contact you periodically to ask if you have activity. Last but not least, on exploring collaborative frameworks, as I said, we are coupled with the OTCA platform, which in my opinion is a very advanced platform for hybrid courses. It offers really state-of-the-art virtual framework for teaching and to be interactive with the students. I like Adam's statement that you also need the personal contact, and so we can, for this, we can try to devise systems that are hybrid, 1 week in presence and the rest in this. And we have suggestions we are thinking of, but we would like to get your inspiration. One of these OTCA DCC-CR Coastal Resilience School courses within the school could be dedicated to coastal cities and urban oceanography. It could be citizen science, best practice and study courses, could be the repetition of what we are launching next year. But, we really like to get your input here, because we are now practice with the platform. We can help you to set it up. It's, very convenient. And we can actually use the network. So another one is the one we just went that Mary Beth was talking about. We have the next one is the One Ocean Congress, that is rather important. And we are already prepared one town hall with CEOs, the program Coast that you have seen. And, these are the theme. Many of you work in the themes. If you want to held something together as part of the DCC, I think, we can get in touch and formulate the idea. Deadline is December 13. So we have time. And this is why we rushed a little bit on this meeting, because we thought maybe it will be an occasion that we have something together, if of interest. Okay, another one is, we wanted to advertise that we have our DCC program meeting together with Cost Predict. And if you're interested, we can actually add more, but it's a very nice location. So Lecce, if you want to come, it's fantastic in February. And then again, please remember the UNOC 3. The UNOC 3 is not, you have to go through your member state representative, I mean, the parties there, but the One Ocean Congress is the one that we can do together. And that's all, except, yes, that some other dates, we might have another meeting in October. We can have sub-meetings earlier. And then in April 2025, we will try to get in touch again with you to have a good report for the DCU, because I'm not sure DCU reaches you directly, but certainly they reach us. And we have experience now how to fill the report. You have already seen Tsunami that is trying to find the indicators for the decade. And it is important, if you're also searching for funding, I think it will be a very nice additional point. Okay, then it's done. Yes. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your time you dedicated to the DCC-CR. As I said before, you will receive soon an email with all the presentation you gave during this meeting, and please consider the DCC staff at your disposal if you need further information. It was a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.